All right, buckle up because today we're diving deep, like really deep, into the mindset of those people who just seem to dominate.
Those high achievers,
Exactly.
like top of their game no matter what they're doing.
Yeah, think Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, that kind of relentless drive.
We're talking about the cleaner mindset
And to get into it, we've got excerpts from a book called Relentless.
by Tim Grover, the guy who actually trained Jordan and Kobe for years.
So this is firsthand insight into what makes these people tick.
And the cool thing is, it's not just about sports.
Right, like what can we learn from this world?
There's stuff in here that applies to anyone who wants to reach that top level in any field.
So where do we even start with this? Relentless is packed with, well, relentless insights.
Right off the bat, Grover lays out this hierarchy. Cooler, closer, cleaner.
Okay, break that down for me.
He's not trying to judge people. It's more like levels of intensity.
How much you rely on yourself versus needing other people to pump you up, that kind of thing.
Exactly. So, the cooler.
They've got talent, natural ability, but
Maybe coast on that a bit, shy away from the really tough moments.
like that teammate who's a beast in practice but chokes in the game.
You got it. Then you've got the closer.
Steps up when needed, puts in the work, prepared for what's expected.
But still might need a strong team around them to shine.
Like LeBron, early in his career.
Amazing talent, but needed that championship caliber team to hit his full potential.
Makes sense. Okay, so where does the cleaner fit in?
They're on a whole other level.
Yeah.
Not just thinking, but knowing. They dictate the game.
Pressure doesn't rattle them, it fuels them.
Like Jordan in his prime, mental game as strong as his physical skills.
All right, but how do you even cultivate that?
And here's where it gets really interesting. Grover argues that we're all born with that cleaner instinct.
Wait, hold on. You're saying everyone's got Jordan-level potential hiding inside?
Well, think about babies.
Babies. What do babies have to do with this?
Grover uses them as an example. They're the ultimate cleaners. They know what they need, zero hesitation, just go for it.
Pure drive, no overthinking.
Exactly. But then, as we grow up, we're taught to be good, fit in, play it safe.
So we lose touch with that primal drive.
That born bad instinct Grover talks about.
Okay, born bad. I'm a little lost. Are we saying everyone's inherently evil?
No, not evil. It's not about morality. It's about that raw instinct to go after what you want.
That relentless pursuit.
Yeah, like when's the last time you went all OT for something, no holding back?
Good question. I think maybe there have been times I've held back, worried about what people would think.
That's what Grover's getting at. Maybe we're too busy trying to be liked instead of being great.
Ooh, that's hitting a nerve.
And that leads us to this idea of the dark side, probably the most intriguing and maybe controversial part of Grover's whole philosophy.
Okay, dark side. Now I'm getting a little nervous. Are we talking Darth Vader territory here?
No, not exactly. It's not about being a villain. It's about tapping into that raw drive most people bury deep down.
Okay, so not evil, but intense.
Maybe. And owning that dark side, that could be the key to unlocking that next level.
Like, think about Tiger Woods.
There's no denying his talent, but there was also that intensity, that edge to him.
Yeah, and obviously there were some personal struggles too, but are you saying that same intensity that made him dominant also played a role in those struggles?
It's something to think about, right?
Okay, my head's spinning a bit.
Yeah.
We've got coolers, closers, cleaners, this idea that society tamps down our natural drive, and now a dark side we're supposed to embrace.
That's Grover for you. Big, bold ideas.
And it's up to us to figure out what resonates, right?
Exactly. He even talks about one player who used to test how many beers he could drink and still dominate.
Wow. Okay, maybe not the best example.
Obviously not recommending that, but it shows that relentless drive to know yourself, push boundaries.
So pushing limits, maybe a little recklessly, that's the cleaner.
It's more about understanding your limits, so when the pressure's on, you don't crack.
Right, because cleaners don't just handle pressure, they invite it.
They use it as fuel.
Like LeBron bites his nails when things get tight.
But Jordan, he turned that pressure into trash talk, into motivation.
And Kobe, famously, didn't even flinch when Matt Barnes faked throwing the ball at his face.
Totally unfazed.
Like, pressure was just part of the game, not something to fear.
So what are WE doing to either avoid or invite pressure in our own lives?
Ooh, that's a good question for everyone listening. What are you running from that could actually be helping you?
Maybe that's the first step to unlocking some of this cleaner potential.
It's like we're conditioned to avoid discomfort, but maybe that's where the real growth happens.
Stepping outside that comfort zone.
Okay, so seek pressure, flip the script on how we view those uncomfortable situations. What else?
And here's another big one. Cleaners aren't worried about being liked.
Results over popularity.
Exactly. They're results-oriented, and they know achieving those results often means tough decisions, high standards.
Like Michael demanding his teammates rise to HS level.
Not about making friends, it's about winning championships.
And that's where the whole asshole paradox comes in, right?
Are the people who are truly relentless, the ones pushing boundaries, are they inherently difficult?
Interesting.
Grover says sometimes being a cleaner means being the bad guy.
But it's not about being malicious.
It's about that higher standard.
Okay, so less about being an asshole, more about demanding excellence, even when it's uncomfortable.
You got it. And that leads to another crucial element. Trust is earned, not given.
Because they've been burned before.
Cleaners have small, tight circles because they've seen people disappear when things get tough.
There's that story about the player who thought he knew his body better than Grover.
And got completely shut down.
It's a reminder to trust the expert, even if it's not what you want to hear.
Right. It's about having people who'll tell you the truth, even when it's unpleasant.
Do you have yes men or people who challenge you? Man, this is intense. I'm already rethinking some relationships, and we've only scratched the surface here.
There's so much more to unpack, but it's all relevant no matter what you do.
Absolutely. It's like peeking inside the minds of these high achievers and seeing how their approach could apply to our own lives.
That's what makes these deep dives so fascinating.
We're not just learning information, we're gaining insights that could change how we approach our goals.
And that's the power of knowledge.
It's not just knowing things, it's knowing how to apply them to get results. Okay, so we've laid the groundwork, explored these fundamental ideas. Where do we go from here?
Well, we've talked about cleaners handling pressure, even thriving in it. But how do they actually do that? What are the tactics?
That's what we'll dive into next. Stay with us.
Okay, so we've established that cleaners, they don't just handle pressure, they practically weaponize it. But how do they actually DO that? It can't just be gritting your teeth and powering through, can it? You're right, there's a real method to it. And it starts with something Grover calls knowing your body.
So not just like knowing your physical limits, but something deeper.
Exactly. It's
Yep.
understanding how your body responds to stress, how your energy levels change throughout the day, what routines, what practices help you be at your best.
So like tracking your sleep, nutrition, how you feel after certain workouts, all that.
Precisely. Gathering data on yourself. And here's where the work comes in. Being disciplined enough to stick to those routines that optimize your performance, even when you don't feel like it.
Which, let's be honest, is easier said than done. Even with the best intentions, we all slip up sometimes.
Oh, absolutely. But that's where the cleaner mindset comes in. That unwavering commitment, that willingness to do what it takes. And for them, knowing their body, that's non-negotiable, the foundation for everything else.
You know, it's funny, when I think of someone like Jordan, I focus on the talent, the athleticism, but what you're saying is a huge part of his success was this meticulous self-awareness, that discipline.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it wasn't just physical, it was mastering his emotions too. Remember, Grover says emotions make you weak.
Because they cloud your judgment, make you react without thinking.
Exactly. When you're overwhelmed, stressed, even overly excited, it's harder to think clearly, make strategic decisions.
You make mistakes, let your emotions control you instead of the other way around.
And for cleaners, that's just not an option. They understand controlling their emotions, staying calm and focused under pressure. That's power.
So how do they do that? Some kind of Zen meditation thing?
It's less about specific techniques, more a mindset shift. Cleaners recognize emotions are signals, not the boss.
So instead of getting swept up in the emotion, they acknowledge it but don't let it control them.
Exactly. Detach, observe without judgment, and then decide how to respond. It's like that space between stimulus and response. Cleaners have mastered it.
It's like they're playing chess while everyone else is playing checkers, thinking ahead, anticipating, staying in control.
And this mastery over their emotions, it lets them tap into what Grover calls the zone.
Ugh, the zone, that mythical state of flow. Athletes talk about it, artists, even entrepreneurs. But is it real?
Grover insists it is. Intense focus, totally absorbed in the task. No fear, no doubt, no overthinking, just pure action.
Sounds amazing, but kind of intimidating too. How do you even access that? Can you train for it?
Grover believes you can. 2 keys. First, eliminate distractions. All of them. Internal and external. No multitasking, no checking your phone constantly, no letting your mind wander.
Easier said than done in our world, right? But I guess that's the point. Cleaners are relentless about protecting their focus.
Exactly. Creating that space for deep work. And second, train your mind to stay calm, present, no matter what's going on around you.
So basically, mastering those emotional control techniques we were talking about.
Precisely. The more you practice staying centered in everyday life, the more readily you can access the zone when it matters most.
This is making sense. But one thing keeps nagging at me. This whole cleaner mindset, isn't it, kind of? Lonely. All that pushing, striving, not caring about being liked. Doesn't that isolate you?
Great question, and Grover tackles it head on. He says cleaners aren't lonely. They're just incredibly selective about who they let in.
So, not pushing everyone away, but choosing the right people.
Exactly. Think about it. If you're constantly striving for excellence, you need people who get that, who support you, challenge you, hold you accountable.
People on the same wavelength who can handle your intensity and won't hold you back.
And that's why cleaners often have these small, tight-knit groups. They've learned not everyone can handle the pressure, the demands.
That's where the trust is earned thing comes in, right?
They've been burned before, seen people fold under pressure.
So it's not about being a lone wolf, it's about choosing your pack wisely. And maybe that's something we can all learn from. Even if we're not cleaners 247, having that core group of people who get us, support our ambitions,
Right.
that's huge.
Absolutely. And that brings us to another critical aspect, how cleaners deal with failure. Because let's face it, no matter how talented or driven, you're going to hit setbacks.
So how do they handle failure? Just brush it off and keep going.
It's more nuanced. They don't deny it, but they don't let it define them either.
Acknowledge it, but don't dwell.
Exactly. Failure is a data point, a learning opportunity. Adjust your strategy, come back stronger. Like that quote, I failed over and over, and that's why I succeed. And Grover gives this great example in the book about building his training facility, Attack Athletics. Huge undertaking, state-of-the-art, attracting athletes from all over.
And it was hugely successful, right?
It is NLW, but it wasn't always easy. Shortly after opening, the NBA lockout happened. Some of his biggest clients had to train elsewhere.
Oh, wow. So a major setback right out of the gate.
Exactly. People were saying Attack Athletics was a failure, that Grover had overreached.
But he didn't give up.
No way. Adapted, shifted focus, doubled down on his commitment.
Turned that failure into fuel.
Exactly. And Attack Athletics became even more successful than he imagined. But it was that willingness to embrace failure, to learn and adapt, that got him through.
That's so inspiring. It speaks to that core belief cleaners have. That unshakable faith in their ability to figure things out no matter what.
It's not about avoiding failure. It's knowing you have the resilience, the resourcefulness to overcome it.
So it's not about becoming superhuman, never making mistakes. It's changing how we relate to failure, seeing it as growth, not defeat.
Exactly. And that shift in perspective, it changes how we approach challenges, how we pursue our goals.
We've talked about knowing your body, mastering your emotions, the zone, building the right inner circle, and embracing failure. Anything else we need to know about the cleaner mindset?
One final and maybe surprising element, cleaners don't celebrate their achievements.
Wait, what? They don't celebrate. That seems counterintuitive.
I know, right? But it's not that they don't appreciate success. It's that they're always looking ahead, always striving for more.
That relentless drive keeps them moving forward.
They know the moment you rest on your laurels, you get complacent. And complacency, that's the enemy of excellence.
So it's like they reach one peak and they're immediately scanning for the next higher one to climb.
Exactly. That's the core of the cleaner. Relentless pursuit of excellence, pushing boundaries, unwavering belief in their potential.
Okay, we've covered a lot in this deep dive, the principles, the strategies, even the downsides. But the question is, how do we apply this to our lives? Do we all need to become cleaners to succeed?
That's the million-dollar question.
Yep.
And one we'll explore in the next part of our deep dive. Stick with us.
Okay, so we've really unpacked this whole cleaner mindset, right? The drive, the discipline, the intensity, it's a lot. But do we need to become like full-blown cleaners to succeed? It sounds kind of exhausting.
Yeah, you're hitting on something Grover addresses. It's not about turning everyone into Jordan.
Right, like that level of intensity 24/7.
Probably not sustainable for most of us. You'd burn out.
Exactly. Like I get it for a big project, a career push, but applied to, doing my taxes, maybe not so helpful.
Right. It's about figuring out which parts of this mindset really resonate with you.
and then applying them strategically.
where they'll have the most impact.
So it's a toolkit. You pick the right tool for the job. I like that. But where do you even start?
Well, let's go back to pressure. Cleaners, they don't just handle it, they seek it out.
Not recklessly, though.
Right, but they understand pressure reveals your weaknesses, makes you adapt and grow.
So the question is,
What pressures are you avoiding that might actually be opportunities?
ooh, I like that. Like maybe I'm putting off a tough conversation at work or avoiding learning that new software because it's intimidating.
But leaning into that discomfort.
That's what I need to level up.
Exactly. It's a perspective shift. Instead of pressure being something to fear, it's a challenge, a chance to prove yourself.
Like Kubi with Matt Barnes faking the ball throw.
Why should I react? I'm already in control. That's the mindset.
Okay, seek pressure, reframe those uncomfortable situations. What else?
Well, the dark side. Again, not being unethical, but tapping into that raw drive that we often suppress.
So what am I holding back? Where am I playing it safe when I could be pushing harder, taking more risks?
I think a lot of us are afraid of failure.
So we don't go all in.
Cleaners, they don't let that fear paralyze them. Setbacks happen, but they're detours, not defeats. Remember Grover's attack athletics story?
The NBA lockout, that could have been the end.
But he adapted, pivoted. That failure became part of the success.
They reframe failure. It's data, feedback, a course correction. Much more empowering, right?
And finally, the inner circle. Cleaners are picky about who they let in.
Makes sense. They need people who can handle it.
People who support them, challenge them, hold them accountable, even when it's tough.
Quality over quantity when it comes to relationships.
Absolutely. Surround yourself with people who believe in you, push you, and won't let you settle. Those are the relationships that matter.
This deep dive has been amazing. We've gone from the core of the cleaner mindset to actual strategies we can use. I'm walking away with a whole new view on what pursuing excellence really means.
Me too. It's been fascinating. But the takeaway is, you don't have to become Michael Jordan to achieve great things.
Right. Just take what works for you.
Embrace some of these principles: seeking pressure, owning your dark side, the right inner circle, reframing failure. That can make all the difference.
So well said. And if you're listening, fired up to learn more, check out Relentless by Tim Grover. It's a tough read, but worth it.
Absolutely. And remember, this journey to excellence, it's ongoing.
It's not the destination, it's how you travel.
Keep pushing, keep learning, become the best version of yourself.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We'll catch you on the next one.